For our viewers, on the left is Mr. Bill Kitchens. And Mr. Kitchens just recently, a week ago, moved to assisted living in Evansville. Up until now, he has lived independently, and his birthday is September 11. You will be 101 this year, September 11th, 2024. That's wonderful, and both these gentlemen are in great shape. And if I understand correctly, Mr. Kixmiller, you were born and raised in Vincennes, Indiana, and your father was a German immigrant, I believe.
My dad was naturalized in about 1926, I think.
Okay.
And all my brothers and sisters were naturalized at the same time, except me, and I hadn't got here yet, so I didn't have to be naturalized.
That's right.
I was working in a defense plant in Louisville, Kentucky, and first week of March, 1943.
How did you enter?
I was in high school. I was 17. And on December the 4th, I signed up for the Navy, and then I think just a few days later they took me into Annapolis and did the induction and all that. But I was 17 when I joined.
17.
I was going to be 18, and I was on the list to be drafted anyhow. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So now, Mr. Kitchens, tell me about your time in the Navy. Did you? I think I heard you tell me once you were in a construction outfit.
No, I was in the regular Navy.
Regular Navy.
Reserve.
Reserve.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went through boot camp in Great Lakes,
Okay.
and then I transferred. They transferred me down to. I got off the train in a cornfield, Peru, Indiana. I tell people, I got my sea legs on the Wabash River.
I think I heard you tell me once you'd been around the world a time or two.
Well, this is just about the end of the war. They put me on a troop transport ship.
Troop transport ship. Okay.
And I got a little story about that.
All right. Good.
We went to Europe first and back. Then we went to Karachi, India, which is Pakistan now. Back to New York. And then they headed out to Shanghai, China, on the slow boat to China, and it was slow. From New York to Shanghai took us 3 weeks. But on the way over there, back then you never had any women on board ships, It was all men, troop transport. And I had a guy on there was from Massachusetts, and he had a guitar. And the guy was good. He could sing just like a woman or a little baby, or a kid. And he done that once or twice too. And he and I got to buddying around there. So one morning we all got up and dressed, and we're standing around, and he said, "Hey, you guys are going to go to the floor show tonight?" Yeah, why not? That's a bunch of baloney. Well, where's it going to be? He said, "Go back down in the troop officer's mess. Well, I never thought any more about it. So I'm eating lunch, and guys come in there and they say, "Oh, hey, you going to that floor show tonight? Going to that floor show tonight?" And one guy said, "Well, hell, I heard him practicing. He loosened one of those doors." He said, I hear about practicing. So, well, we was going around close to Philippines, and so I went upstairs to up the top side to see a movie. Well, nobody up there. So the guys with me, he said, where they at? I thought, I don't know. He said, I'll bet you they're down that troop officer's mess waiting for that floor show to start. Well, we debated whether we should go down there or not. But don't get down there for the sea, because if you do, they'll probably piss you overboard. So we went down there, and you could see up the portholes, you could see them all sitting there waiting. Well, we back up. Next morning, they jumped me, said, you ain't nothing but a big liar. I said, what are you talking about? Why, he said, you said you're going to be a floor show. I said, don't you know there's never been a woman aboard here? That was the end of it. But anyway, from Shanghai, now Shanghai had a horse racetrack right in the middle of the city.
A racetrack?
Horse racetrack, yes.
Right in the middle of this town?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure did.
That's a huge city, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what they got now. Of course, I haven't been over there. I doubt they got that now.
My goodness.
But anyway, I kind of like Shanghai.
Did you?
Yeah, there's 4 sections of Shanghai. You got the Chinese, of course, and you got the Japanese, you got the French, English.
Oh, really?
Right.
4 sections?
In the city.
Chinese, Japanese, French, and
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. So anyway, we stayed there about a week, and then we pulled out with a load of troops back to the States, and back to the States, and that was the last trip I made as far as that.
What time of year was it?
This is let's see. It was December, because we had dinner in Shanghai, and it cost us $1,500. Of course, that was Chinese money. wasn't very much. So anyway, we came back to Seattle, and on in home, and then got discharged there. Got discharged in last February, 1st of March of 46.
Of 46?
Yes.
Okay, discharged then. So you were in 3 years?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how about you, Mr. Kixmiller? How long were you in the Navy?
I went to boot camp in the middle of December. Coldest place in the world is Great Lakes in the winter. And that was in 1944. And went through my boot camp, and then they sent me to aviation electrician school in Jacksonville, Florida. And then after I went to the school, they sent me home on 30-day leave. When I went back, they sent me to Chicago, put me on a troop train. Took 5 days for us to get to Los Angeles. And when we got to Los Angeles, when we pulled in there, they were dancing in the fountains outside and everything. It was VJ Day. And so then I went on to San Diego and worked in the A&R shop, assembly and repair on airplane parts. And spent about 3 months on that, and then they didn't have anything to do with us, so they put me on barracks duty for a couple of months. Then they put me on the fire department, and so that's where I spent the rest of my time. And then they sent me home from there back to Chicago, and I was mustered out of the Navy and joined the Naval Reserve then for the next 5 years. And you know, I don't have many stories to tell. I would be wandering off the subject here. So that's pretty much my time in the Navy. It was 2 years, but it went so fast that I have very little remembrance of it.
Mm-hmm. And you were in San Diego all that time,
In-
weren't you?
in
you were
the
San
Navy.
Diego?
I was in the Navy,
Yeah.
and they retired me they discharged me from the Navy, and I joined the Naval Reserve.
Okay.
And I came to Evansville and flew, and I was a crew member, and Grunman, Bob Grunman from Grumman's Shoe in Vincennes, and Bob, his name just flew by me. They were the pilots, and I got to go with them on the plane when I was in the Navy Reserve there for a while. Mm-hmm. But that's
I have a question for both of you. That is, at the time that you made the decision to go into the service, do you recall your thought process at all? What went through your minds? How you decided to go ahead and make that plunge?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. At the time that you joined the service, do you recall the thought process that you had and why you decided to go ahead and join?
I joined the Navy. I mean, there were several of us went in our senior year, and you know, we didn't finish up our high school, but when we got home, when I got home, they gave me my diploma, and I didn't get to go through the graduations or anything like that, but I was in my barracks in Jacksonville thinking about the rest of the class while they were at class reunion and all that stuff, you know.
You were being patriotic, weren't you, when you joined? Wasn't your reason maybe more of a patriotism and?
Well, I had two brothers and a brother-in-law. Warren was in the Navy, my next oldest brother, and then my oldest brother, Walt, was in the Army, and the Army Air Corps. He served over in Italy, flew planes out of there, and then Meredith Lane, my brother-in-law, was in the Army, and he went through the Normandy and all of that. So it gave me a good advice. They said, join the Navy. They said, you've always got a place to sleep and to eat.
I hear the food's better in the Navy too. I've heard the food's better.
Well, let's put it that way. On Wednesday, it's not very good. Wednesday, they give you beans, Navy beans.
Maybe, yeah.
And do you remember your thought process of deciding whether or not to go ahead and join the Navy?
All my friends are in the Navy. Well, most of them. Well, there's three of them in the Navy, so I was in Louisville there, and anyway, things got slow a little bit there. So I said, well, the guy said, I'm going to have to lay somebody off. Well, I'll just go up and join the Navy.
Did you have any relatives, brothers or sisters in the service?
No, I was the first one
You were the first one.
in my family, yes.
Are you the oldest in your family?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I got an older brother that's about 12 years older than I am.
Now, you were on a farm, raised on
Yes, I was raised on a farm, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and your older brother probably needed to stay on the farm.
Yeah, well,
During the-
no, he's 12 years, he was married and he was working construction. Yeah,
Did you see combat?
no,
No.
I didn't ask for it. And,
They
when
heard I was coming, so they quit.
I come through Evansville, when I came through Evansville, joined the Navy, that old chief said, "Don't you ever volunteer for anything." So I didn't take his word very good. So about 4 or 5 weeks in the boot camp at Camp Dewey, they was building some of them camps up, you know. They said, "If you guys go down to Waukegan, down somewhere in the country out there, get some shrubbery. When you're coming back, you can stop by and have a beer." Well, that sounds pretty good, you know, beer. Well, we went down there, we worked about 4 hours, 5 hours, or whatever. It was something like that, 4 hours. Come back, they never stopped for nothing. We never got no beer, we never got 7 up. So that wasn't very good. The thing that we had, I don't know whether you had it or not, at Great Lakes, we had KP. And and you worked about 12, 14 hours on that KP. And we'd be stretched out, sitting down next to the wall, and somebody come along and put a match in your shoe and light it. And boy, wasn't very long till you come out of there with that shoe. But
Pretty windy up there at Great Lakes, isn't it?
oh yeah, it was.
Windy and cold.
But you know, we never did. We were supposed to go out on a gunner range, never did though. It got too slow. But that outgo when I come back after I got out of the boot camp, I have an outgoing unit. About 10,000 people in one building. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible there. I was washing my face, and I looked down, I lost my watch. Yeah,
Did you get it back?
never did. No. And then they take some rubber slip-on overshoes, you know, put the heel in, throw it down there for us, you could. And so the officers got tired of that. So finally they, one guy hollers, "Well, I'd rather be right and be president." And I said, "Who said that?" He said, "Henry Clay, you dumb." They got that whole group out, and about 10 o'clock, and made them march until about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mr. Kixmiller, were you raised on a farm?
No, my grandpapa had a coal yard, and my dad worked their coal yard, and nothing exciting about it except I was just a young country boy when I went into the Navy, and I met people from all over the country there, and you know the difference between people from Tennessee and Indiana, New York and California. It's wonderful to meet all these people, and we came together and meshed just like a well-oiled machine.
Really? You meshed like a well-oiled machine? Yeah. Did you keep in touch with any of them?
No.
Okay.
When I got home, I just went right back to my old routine.
Yeah.
And got a job as quick as I could,
Yeah, I'm sure.
and I went to Vincennes University for a while. And
Did you use the GI Bill to continue your education?
The GI Bill.
GI Bill. GI Bill.
for my college, yes. Mhm. Yeah.
Good.
And lo and behold, our mathematics teacher was a retired Navy ensign. And he was just about like all the ensigns. they knew everything.
Yeah, they got the dirty work too.
Yeah.
They got the dirty work. Well,
One time I heard you say, Mr. Kixmiller, that you thought that the war effort was the greatest, see, I had it written here. The World War II effort was the most sincere effort on the part of all the citizens.
it was.
And I think that's what you both had told me once, something to that effect.
True, that's true.
Everybody was together.
That's
You
right.
know, just like you said out in San Diego, there were people from all over the country, but you meshed together like a well-oiled machine, and you knew your purpose, and that was wonderful.
That's right. That's right.
I have to go back to this one thing. One thing I learned when I was in boot camp, we had several young boys from Tennessee and Kentucky and all down there, and being from Vincennes, Indiana, we thought we were different, you know, and so we had one radio in our barracks for all of us, and this radio, the guy would put it on a country station, and I'd slip over there and change it back to the music that I was used to, like Vaughn Monroe and such, and then he'd go back and he'd change it back, and we did that about 3 times. He came up to me and he said, "You change that radio one more time and I'm gonna knife you." And I learned something real quick there. I went back to my locker and forgot that incident.
Yeah, yeah. They're real serious about their country music, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, you know, there was a lot of learning to be done at that time, taking young kids out of high school and teaching them to be mechanics and
Oh, yeah.
and all these things. I mean, you know, the guys flying the planes couldn't fly them if they didn't have somebody to fix them. And
That's true
so
today, too.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that was what they wanted me to do. They don't ask you; they tell you what you're going to do.
Yeah, yeah. But it's good training.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
useful. It's useful instruction. You can use it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I got out of school. I went to a trade school in western Kentucky, Bowling Green.
Okay.
They had one going, and I took welding, and I carried that welding through practice. Not all the time. For about 10 years, I worked at a plant in Annapolis, and I got interested in the union, and I became a union representative. And from a union representative, I got to be on the staff of the Rubber Workers International Union.
Oh, my.
And then they promoted me political educational director for the Rubber Workers International, and I represented the rubber workers in the trade in 1981. We had the labor had a proposal for dealing with trade, you know. So we came up with a proposal that we thought would be good, reciprocal for trade. That was our proposal. Well, we tried to get the Democrats. We finally got the Democrats to go along with it, but we couldn't get the Republicans. They wouldn't go along with it. So we didn't get that done. And you see what's happened.
Yeah.
We
So you
lost.
were a negotiator for the union, is that right?
Yes.
A trade negotiator.
What we did, the
On
labor,
national level.
labor had a proposal, and our proposal was reciprocal, and they didn't want that.
Okay. Very good. How about you, Mr. Kixmiller? What did you do in life after the war?
Well, it was many and varied things. So I'm not going to get in. I worked in Autolite battery factory in the construction of it with an electrician, and then I sold food, general foods products, and then one day I was very disappointed in my management at General Foods, so I went down to Security Bank and I put my application in. And in the meantime, I had asked Dorothy to be my wife, and so when I went in to put in the application, they asked me when we were going to get married, and I said on March 9th, and they said, well, we'll hire you after you're married. But that was at Security Bank in Vincennes, and then I left there and came down here as the president of Warwick National Bank in Newburgh, and that was my life then from then on.
Banking from construction and sales.
But I was in construction. I was in sales.
Yeah.
And I tried several things. I even worked in a radio shop repairing radios and tachometers and all of those kind of things. And then we also sold gas stoves and refrigerators and things like that. And I, a 19-year-old boy, was sent out with the refrigerator or stove, whatever, to be gas operated, and I was to install those. And I got it in my head, you know, if this place would catch fire and those people would get killed because I wasn't doing a good job, I don't think I could live with that. So I quit that job real quick. I thought people's lives were more important than me selling refrigerator.
To both of you, overall, how do you feel about your time in the service?
I thought it was the right thing to do, and you know, as during the war, and I didn't have a lot of choice.
Yeah.
So it was necessary.
It was necessary.
And I believed that. And, you know, it's a funny thing. I run into two people, and that doesn't mean the whole people, the whole country like that. But I run into two people telling me, well, if you vote so-and-so, the war will be over. I said, hey, I didn't know this was a partial party war. I thought everybody was behind this, you know. But I run into two people. One time I was over here in the hitchhiking over here by Scottsville, and two old ladies in their Cadillac picked me up and put me in there. And then first thing I started doctorating. He gave me the old saying, well, you vote, election, I guess, is pretty close, something. You vote this way, you'll get this war over with. I said, lady, I didn't know this was a part of war. But everybody, you had a few people thinking, if you just vote like this, well, that's over. But going back to World War II, a lot of us got talking. World War II, some of that war was won with Berlin War. I don't know whether you heard what Berlin War was. That's war that you bale hay with. And we had a lot of things that makeshift. I was in Michigan there about 3 or 4 months, and I was driving a truck. And that truck was a 1923 Federal truck, and you had to go around the block to get where you was going. If you was going right, if you're going left, you was okay. But
Same question for Mr. Kixmiller. Overall, how do you feel about your time in the service?
I grew up in the service, and I didn't like it, but it made a man out of a young boy, and I still carry the love for our country every bit as much as I did at that time, and it really grieves me to see the way people are accepting all of the giveaways and everything, and they're not thankful for anything. They just, it's a want. And I got to throw a bouquet at the American Legion too, because the American Legion is a great organization that's bringing a lot of these young people that have served long after I was out, and it gives them an opportunity to be involved in their community and such as that. And our preamble starts out, for God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes, and then it states the purposes and such as that. But it's for God and country. And my Navy days just emphasize that. I mean, my life has been changed tremendously by what I learned in the Navy about authority and such as that. Somebody has to be the leader. Can't all be seamen.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.